Hello students, let's continue chapter 10th of science of class 7th, that is respiration in organisms. Today we will discuss that how do we breathe. Let us now learn about the mechanism of breathing. Normally we take in air through our nostrils. When we inhale air, it passes through our nostrils into the nasal cavity. From the nasal cavity, the air reaches our lungs through the windpipe. Lungs are present in the chest cavity. This cavity is surrounded by ribs on the sides. A large muscular sheet called diaphragm forms the floor of the chest cavity. Breathing involves the movement of the diaphragm and the rib cage. Students, in this diagram you can see human respiratory system. Ribs and diaphragm are helpful in breathing. Nostrils, it is opening of nose. Inhale air passes through it into the nasal cavity. Nasal cavity, its lining has fine hair by which air is filtered and passes into trachea through pharynx. Trachea or windpipe, it is muscular tube. Air passes to lungs through it, and lungs is a main organ of respiratory system located in the chest cavity. Exchange of oxygen and carbon dioxide occur in lungs. During inhalation, ribs move up and outwards and diaphragm move down. This movement increases space in our chest cavity and air rushes into the lungs. The lungs get filled with air. During exhalation, ribs move down and inwards, while diaphragm moves up to its former position. This reduces the size of the chest cavity and air is pushed out of the lungs. These movements in our body can be felt easily. Students, you can see in this diagram, when air is drawn in, then ribs move out and diaphragm moves down, and when air forced out, ribs move back and diaphragm moves back. Students, take a deep breath. Keep your palm on the abdomen. Feel the movement of abdomen. What do you find? After having learned that during breathing there are changes in the size of the chest cavity, children got involved in the chest expansion competition. Students, you have to remember that smoking damages lungs and smoking is also linked to cancer, so it must be avoided. Students, everyone was boasting that she or he could expand it the maximum. How about doing this activity in the class with your classmates? So we will perform activity 10.4. Take a deep breath. Measure the size of the chest with a measuring tape and record your observation in the table 10.2 that is given in your textbook on page number 113. Measure the size of the chest again when expanded and indicate which classmate shows the maximum expansion of the chest. Students, you can perform this activity with your friends or your family members. Students, the air around us has various types of unwanted particles such as smoke, dust, pollens, etc. When we inhale, the particle get trapped in the air present in our nasal cavity. However, sometimes these particles may get past the hair in the nasal cavity. This may irritate the lining of the cavity, as a result of which we sneeze. Sneezing expels these foreign particles from the inhaled air and a dust-free clean air enters our body. So students, when you sneeze, you should cover your nose so that the foreign particles you expel are not inhaled by other persons. Students, you can see in this diagram the model to show mechanism of breathing. Students, to prepare this model, we will take a white plastic bottle, remove the bottom, get a Y-shaped glass or plastic tube. Make a hole in the lid so that the tube may pass through it. To the forked end of the tube, fix two deflated balloons. Introduce the tube into the bottle as shown in diagram. Now cap the bottle. Seal it to make it airtight. To the open base of the bottle, tie a thin rubber or plastic sheet using a large rubber band. To understand the expansion of the lungs, pull the rubber sheet from the base downwards and watch the balloons. Now push the rubber or plastic sheet up and observe the balloons. You will observe that when rubber sheet is pulled from the base downwards, air enters the balloons through Y-shaped plastic tube and balloons inflated. And when rubber sheet is pushed up, air moves out from balloons and balloons again come to their original conditions. We conclude that in this model, plastic bottle represents chest cavity, balloons represents lungs, rubber sheet represents diaphragm, and Y-shaped tube represents windpipe. Now, you should be able to explain the mechanism of breathing. Students, this is the end of today's session. We will continue this chapter in next video. Thank you.